Ryan Carter was a man who never said no to a challenge. On the human starship Orion's Edge, he was known for his sharp smile, bold words, and reckless pride. He had crossed asteroid fields, traded with pirates, and even danced in zero-gravity halls for fun. To his friends, he was fearless. To himself, he was unstoppable. That night, the ship floated above the purple clouds of Lira 9, a peaceful alien world known for its strange beauty. Ryan sat in the crew bar with his usual group, loud men with louder laughter. The music was low and the lights were red, glowing softly on their faces. Glasses clinked. Voices rose. Jokes turned cruel. "Come on, Carter," one of them said, a tall engineer named Blake. "You think you're the galaxy's greatest lover. Prove it." Ryan leaned back, smirking. "Prove what?" Blake grinned and pointed toward the big glass window. Outside, small shuttle pods drifted down toward Lira 9. "See that world? They say the Valorans are gentle people, kind, peaceful, and their women, well," he laughed. "They're huge. Big as tanks. But kind, too kind. One of them would probably marry you if you just smiled." The table burst into laughter. Ryan's smirk stayed, but his pride sparked. "What's the challenge?" he asked. Blake leaned closer. "You marry one. A fat alien girl from Lira 9. Bring her back here as your wife. If you do that, you win 10,000 credits and the title of Galactic Casanova." Another crewmate joined in. "And if you fail, you pay us double." Ryan looked around. The men's eyes were bright with drink and mischief. It was a stupid idea, cruel even, but his pride whispered louder than reason. "You think I can't?" he said. Blake laughed again. "You won't. No human ever would." Ryan stood up. His shadow stretched long in the red light. "Watch me." The laughter faded as he turned and walked out of the bar. In that moment, he didn't care about right or wrong. He cared about the thrill, the challenge. He would go down to Lira 9, find some alien girl, and win this foolish bet. The next morning, Ryan took a shuttle to the planet's surface. The sky of Lira 9 shimmered with soft gold light. Floating islands hung in the air, connected by glowing bridges. Strange birds sang songs that echoed through crystal valleys. He landed near a small village surrounded by silver trees. The people there, the Valorans, were tall and round, their skin shining softly like moonlight. Their movements were slow but graceful, and their voices hummed like music. Ryan walked through the village, pretending to admire the place while secretly searching for his target. The bet echoed in his head. "Find a fat alien girl. Make her fall for you. Marry her." Easy, he thought. Just words and smiles. Then he saw her. She stood near a fountain feeding bright-winged birds. Her name, as he later learned, was Lira. She was large, yes, her body soft and full, but there was something about her that stopped him. Her eyes glowed faintly blue like small stars. When she laughed, the sound was gentle and clear. Ryan felt something he didn't expect, a pause inside his chest. For a second, the bet seemed far away. She looked up and noticed him staring. "Are you lost, traveler?" she asked in a calm voice. He shook his head quickly. "No, just new here," Lira smiled. "Then welcome. Lira 9 is kind to those who are kind in return." Her words were simple, but they struck him. Ryan wasn't used to kindness without reason. Still, he remembered the bet. He forced a charming grin. "I could use a guide," he said. "Maybe you could show me around." Lira nodded, though she looked a little shy. "I can, but my world is not for games, human. We see truth with our hearts." Her warning made him uneasy, but he brushed it off. "I don't play games," he said. "Not with someone like you." It was a lie, but she smiled anyway. That night, Ryan returned to the Orion's Edge and told his friends he had found his bride. They laughed, slapped his back, and called him a legend. He pretended to enjoy the praise, but his mind kept replaying her smile. Outside the ship, the planet glowed softly below, like a secret waiting to be uncovered. Ryan didn't know it yet, but the fat alien girl he meant to use for a joke would soon test his heart, his courage, and everything he believed about love. The bet that began with laughter would end with a shock strong enough to change two worlds forever. The next morning, the twin suns of Lira 9 rose over the silver horizon. Their soft light spilled across the floating gardens and glowing lakes. Ryan Carter stood near the edge of the landing field, trying to calm the storm inside his head. He told himself it was just a game, just a bet, nothing more. But his thoughts kept drifting back to the alien girl with the gentle eyes. He hadn't planned to see her again. But something inside him whispered that he should. Maybe curiosity, maybe guilt, or maybe something he didn't want to name. So he walked back into the village. The Valorans greeted him politely, though their curious stares followed him everywhere. Humans were rare here. Their tall, shining forms and slow musical voices made Ryan feel like a small, clumsy creature in a place too peaceful for him. He found her again near the fountain, Lira. She wore a flowing blue robe that shimmered like water. Her silver skin glowed faintly in the sun, and her eyes looked even brighter than before. She was feeding a small creature that looked like a bird made of glass. When she saw him, she smiled. "You came back, human," she said softly. Ryan grinned. "You make it sound like that's a bad thing." Lira laughed, a sound like soft wind through chimes. "Not bad," she said. "Just rare. Humans don't often return to the same place twice." Her words made him pause. She was right. He wasn't the kind of man who came back. He usually took what he wanted and moved on. But something about her made him stay. He looked around at the village. Children with glowing skin played near floating lights. Old Valorans sat by the trees humming songs that seemed older than the stars. Everything was calm, alive, real. "This place is beautiful," Ryan said. Lira nodded. "It is not built by machines. It grows with time. Like friendship." Her voice carried warmth that he wasn't used to. For a moment, Ryan forgot about the bet, the laughter of his friends, the credits waiting for him. He just listened. "Would you like to see more?" she asked. He smiled. "I'd like that." They walked along a path lined with glowing flowers. Each petal shimmered when touched. The air smelled of honey and light rain. Ryan couldn't stop looking around. "This is unreal," he said. "Like a dream." Lira turned to him. "To you, maybe. But this is home." She stopped near a bridge that hung in the air, made of crystal and light. Below it, a slow river of silver water flowed, carrying small sparks of blue energy. Lira touched the bridge and it began to hum softly. "We build with life," she said. "The river's energy feeds the village. Everything is connected." Ryan nodded, pretending to understand, but his eyes stayed on her. He saw the way her skin glowed brighter when she smiled, the way her eyes reflected the light of the river. She looked powerful yet gentle, a kind of beauty he had never noticed before. "So, do all Valorans look like you?" he asked, trying to sound casual. Lira looked at him with quiet amusement. "You mean soft and round?" He laughed awkwardly. "I didn't mean—" "It's all right," she said, smiling. "Our bodies hold energy. The more energy we have, the more life we carry. On Valora 9, size means strength, not shame." Her words hit him like a quiet truth. For the first time, Ryan didn't see her as the fat alien girl. He saw her as someone proud of who she was. Someone real. As the suns began to sink, they sat by the river. The sky turned orange and gold. Ryan asked about her world, her people, her life. Lira answered each question patiently, sometimes laughing at his human ways. Then she asked, "Why are you here, Ryan Carter?" Truly, the question froze him. He had no real answer, at least not one he could say. The truth was ugly. He had come for a bet. To use her for a game, he forced a smile. "I just wanted to see something beautiful." Lira tilted her head slightly as if studying him. "We Valorans can feel the energy in words," she said softly. "Sometimes when a person lies, it makes the air heavy. But your words feel light. Maybe you're only half lying." Ryan felt a chill. "You can sense lies?" She smiled faintly. "We can sense hearts." For a moment, silence hung between them. The wind moved softly, carrying the hum of the river. Ryan looked into her glowing eyes and something inside him shifted. He didn't know it yet, but the game was already over. The bet that had begun as a joke was turning into something dangerous, something real. When he left the village that night, his chest felt heavy. His friends would be waiting, ready to mock and cheer. But for the first time, Ryan wasn't sure he could laugh with them. As the shuttle lifted off, he looked down at the village lights below, soft, silver, and alive. And deep in his heart, a voice whispered a warning. "You came here for a bet, Ryan Carter, but she might be the one who changes everything." 3 days had passed since Ryan first met Lira. 3 days, and his life already felt different. He still told himself it was all part of the plan. A simple bet, a quick win. He'd charm her, make her trust him, then marry her for show. Easy. But every time she looked at him with those calm blue eyes, the lie twisted like a knife in his chest. Lira had no idea what kind of man he truly was. She thought he was brave, kind, and curious. He wasn't, not really. He was just trying to win a cruel game made by foolish men. But still, he couldn't stop wanting to see her. The next morning, Lira invited him to a gathering. "Tomorrow is a sacred day," she said. "The day of binding. When souls are joined by light." Ryan didn't fully understand, but he nodded. "Is it like a wedding?" Her eyes glowed brighter. "Yes, but not for everyone. Only those chosen by the bond." He smiled, pretending to be interested. Inside, his heart raced. A wedding? This could be his chance. If he married her, the bet would be done. 10,000 credits. His friends would cheer. He'd be the man who married an alien for fun. "Can anyone take part in this binding?" he asked casually. Lira hesitated. "Only if both hearts are true." Ryan forced a laugh. "Then maybe we can try it." For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she nodded slowly. "If that is truly what you want." Her words were gentle, but her gaze was sharp, almost knowing. The next evening, the ceremony began. The Valoran temple was unlike anything Ryan had ever seen. It was a wide open space built on a floating platform surrounded by glowing crystals. The air shimmered with silver mist. Dozens of Valorans stood in silence, humming softly. The hum filled the air, low and deep like the heartbeat of the planet. Lira stood before him, dressed in white that sparkled with tiny lights. Her silver skin reflected the glow around her. She looked like a being made of starlight. Ryan swallowed hard. He should have felt proud. He should have felt clever. Instead, his hands shook. An elder stepped forward, tall and round, his voice slow and calm. "Two souls stand here tonight," he said. "One from the stars, one from the heart of Valora. Do they join as equals?" Lyra's voice was steady. "Yes." Ryan hesitated for a heartbeat, then said, "Yes." The elder lifted a small crystal bowl filled with glowing liquid. "Then hold hands. Let the bond decide your truth." Ryan reached for Lyra's hand. The moment their skin touched, a jolt of energy shot through him. His body stiffened. The crowd gasped. A blinding light burst around them, white, blue, and gold. It wrapped around their hands and spread across their bodies. Ryan could feel her heartbeat, her breath, her emotions, and everything. For 1 second, he felt her soul. It wasn't just warmth. It was power, and old, deep, alive. The elder's voice trembled. "The bonding spark. It only appears when two hearts are truly bound." Ryan froze. Truly bound? That couldn't be right. He was lying. He didn't love her. This was supposed to be fake, but when he looked at her, she was smiling. Not surprised, not shocked, but peaceful. As if she had known all along this would happen. After the ceremony, the guests surrounded them, humming songs of unity. Lyra's people touched their hands to their chests, a sign of blessing. Ryan forced a smile, pretending to enjoy it. But his heart was pounding too fast. When the crowd finally left, he turned to Lira. "What was that?" She looked at their joined hands. The faint light still glowed between their fingers. "The bonding spark shows truth," she said. "It cannot be faked. It means our souls touched and found each other." Ryan stepped back, his mouth dry. "But that's not possible." She looked up, her eyes calm. "You didn't plan for it. But your heart chose differently." He stared at her, speechless. For the first time in years, he didn't have a clever reply. That night, Ryan sat alone in his small guest room. Outside, the sky shimmered with floating lights. He held his hand up to the window. It still glowed faintly from the ceremony. What did it mean? Why had the spark appeared if his heart was lying? Unless, part of him wasn't lying anymore. He remembered Lyra's face during the ceremony, her quiet smile, her peaceful eyes. She wasn't like anyone he had ever known. She didn't judge him, didn't fear him, didn't expect anything. And somehow, that scared him more than anything else. He realized then that the bet was no longer a game. The line between truth and lies was starting to blur. Somewhere deep inside, Ryan Carter, the man who had once laughed at love, was beginning to feel something real, and that terrified him more than any alien world ever could. The days after the wedding felt like another world for Ryan Carter. He had expected jokes, awkward silence, or maybe even regret, but instead there was calm. Valora 9 moved slowly, like time itself had learned to breathe. The air shimmered softly. The rivers whispered under the twin suns. The people smiled when they saw him walking beside Lira. as if he had always belonged there. But deep inside, Ryan was fighting a storm. He had lied to her. Lied to them all. Yet somehow the bonding spark had appeared, the light that was supposed to show true connection. That made no sense. He hadn't loved her. He wasn't capable of that, was he? Every time he tried to convince himself it was just a trick of alien magic, Lira would do something small, a gentle smile, a soft laugh, and his heart would betray him all over again. One morning, she took him to the Hall of Light, a place of learning and energy. The hall floated high above the ground, held up by streams of blue power that pulsed like veins in the sky. Lira spoke as they walked. "You humans live fast," she said. "You build, destroy, move on. But we Valorans live by the flow. We listen to the world." Ryan nodded slowly. "Maybe that's why I never stop moving. I don't know how to listen." She looked at him with a soft smile. "You're learning." "I can feel it." Inside the hall, crystals hummed in the walls. They glowed brighter when Lira walked past. She placed her hand on one of them, and it began to project light into the air. The glow formed shapes, memories. He saw her people building cities with their minds, shaping mountains, creating life. "Your world runs on energy," Ryan said, amazed. Lira nodded. "All things are connected through energy. Our hearts, our planet, even you." She touched his chest lightly. A spark flickered under her fingers, soft, golden light. Ryan froze. That's the same as the bonding spark." "Yes," she said. "It means your soul is open." He wanted to argue, to laugh it off, but the warmth spreading through his chest felt too real. He looked into her glowing eyes and whispered, "How can you be so kind to me?" Lira tilted her head. "Because I see the truth inside you. You wear lies like armor, but the heart beneath is still alive." Ryan turned away, guilt clawing at him. He wanted to tell her everything, the bet, the lie, the shame. But the words stuck in his throat. If she knew, he thought, she would never look at him the same way again. Days passed and something in him began to change. He helped the Valorans rebuild a damaged bridge. He learned their songs, slow, deep hums that made the air tremble. He even laughed again, real laughter this time. At night, he and Lira would sit by the silver rivers watching the lights dance on the water. She told him stories about stars and the ancient beings who guided her people. He told her stories about Earth, about oceans, storms, and cities filled with light but empty hearts. She listened with wonder. "You speak of your world like it is lost," she said. "Maybe it is," he replied softly. "Maybe I was lost too." Her eyes glowed gently. "Then perhaps you came here to be found." That night, when he returned to his room, he saw the reflection of the bonding spark in his own skin. It glowed faintly along his hand, pulsing with his heartbeat. He tried to shake it off, but it stayed. Warm, alive, constant. He stared at it for a long time. It wasn't just light. It was connection. Somehow his body was linked to hers. For the first time, Ryan didn't feel like a visitor on this planet. He felt part of it, part of her. The thought both thrilled and terrified him. The next morning, Lira found him by the fields. She handed him a small glowing flower. "For you," she said. "It blooms only when it senses peace." He smiled weakly. "Then it must be confused." She laughed softly. "No, Ryan, it knows what you try to hide. You think you came here for a joke, a game, a bet, but the universe has a way of turning lies into truth when hearts begin to change." He froze. "What did you just say?" Lira smiled sadly. "You don't need to confess, Ryan Carter. The bond already told me everything." The air around them shimmered. The flower in his hand glowed brighter, and he realized she had known all along. She had known from the start. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Lira turned and walked away, her glowing robe fading into the light of the morning. Ryan stood there, his heart heavy with something he couldn't name. Shame, guilt, love, all tangled together. He finally understood what true strength looked like. It wasn't in power or pride. It was in forgiveness, and the woman he had married for a bet had just taught him the first lesson of real humanity. The next few days were too quiet. Lira still spoke kindly to Ryan, but something in her eyes had changed. The soft warmth that once welcomed him was now distant, careful, like a door left half open. She smiled, yes, but the smile didn't reach her eyes anymore. Ryan felt it every time she looked at him. She knew. He didn't know how much he had learned or how, but the truth hung in the air like cold smoke. He wanted to tell her everything, but fear kept him silent. Fear of losing her, fear of facing himself. But fate was already moving faster than he could run. On the 7th day after their wedding, the Orion's Edge returned to orbit above Valora 9. Ryan's crewmates had come to collect their winner, the man who had married an alien for a bet. He didn't know they had landed until he heard laughter echoing through the village square. Human laughter. Ryan's blood froze. He ran through the glowing streets, pushing past Velorans who whispered and stared. When he reached the center of the village, he saw them, Blake and the others, standing proudly beside their ship, surrounded by curious alien faces. Blake held up a hologram, replaying a recording of that drunken night at the bar. Ryan's voice filled the air. "Fine, I'll marry one. Watch me win your stupid bet," the Velorans gasped. The air shimmered with their anger and sadness. Lira stood among them, her silver skin pale in the glowing light. Blake laughed, clapping Ryan on the back. "You actually did it, Carter. You really married her. 10,000 credits for the galaxy's smoothest talker." Ryan's heart fell into darkness. "Blake, stop," he said quietly, but Blake didn't stop. He turned to Lira with a mocking grin. "No hard feelings, sweetheart. It was all just for fun." A flash of light struck his hand, knocking the hologram away. The crowd gasped again. It wasn't Ryan, it was Lira. Her eyes burned with blue fire and her voice shook the air. "You used our bond. For a joke?" Ryan tried to reach her, but the energy in the air pushed him back like wind. "Lira, please, don't," she said, her voice trembling. "You played with something sacred. You lied under the light of the bonding spark. You made me believe. I didn't mean." "Didn't mean?" Her glow brightened, the air around her crackling. "You meant every word that night. You said yes for a prize." The Valorans began to hum, a low, angry sound that made the ground vibrate. Some turned away. Others glared. The bond between worlds was breaking right before their eyes. Ryan's crew began to step back toward their ship. "Let's go, Carter," Blake said. "You've had your fun." But Ryan didn't move. His throat was tight. "No," he said softly. "I'm not leaving," Blake frowned. "What?" Ryan turned toward Lira, tears burning behind his eyes. "It started as a lie. I won't deny that." "But it's not a lie anymore," the crowd murmured. Lira stood still, silent as stone. Ryan dropped to his knees. "I was wrong. I was a fool. You were the first person who saw me for more than a mask, and I destroyed that. I don't deserve forgiveness, but I can't walk away like this." The silence that followed was heavier than any sound. Even the wind seemed to stop. Lira looked down at him, her glowing eyes full of sorrow. "You broke a sacred truth, Ryan Carter. The bond doesn't forgive easily." Her light dimmed, flickering like a dying flame. "Go. Leave Valora 9 before the elders cast judgment. If they decide, there will be no mercy." He shook his head. "I won't run again." She turned away, her robe flowing like mist. "Then your fate is sealed." That night, rain fell on Valora 9, rare, silver rain that glowed under the moons. Ryan sat alone beneath the temple steps, soaked and shaking. The village lights were dim. The air was cold and silent. He stared at the sky where the Orion's Edge hovered faintly above the clouds. He could leave. He could escape. But he couldn't move. He had everything to gain when he started this bet. Now he had lost everything that mattered. He remembered Lira's last words echoing in his mind. The bond doesn't forgive easily. As the rain hit the ground, small blue sparks flickered around him, the leftover trace of their connection. The light still lived even through the pain. That was when Ryan finally understood the truth. Lira hadn't punished him. The universe had, because sometimes the cruelest punishment isn't death or exile. It's living with the weight of what you've destroyed. For 2 days, the village of Valora 9 stayed silent. The people had turned their backs on Ryan Carter. The bond mark on his hand had faded to a dull gray, and every time he looked at it, guilt stabbed through his chest. Lira had vanished after the confrontation. No one knew where she had gone. Some said she went into the Crystal Mountains, where the energy of the planet was strongest. Others whispered that she had gone there to forget him. Ryan couldn't bear it anymore. He had to find her. At dawn, he left the village with nothing but a pack of water and a dull hope. The path to the mountains shimmered with strange light, silver dust in the air, glowing softly like starlight trapped in mist. Each step felt heavier, as if the world itself was testing him. He climbed through glowing forests and past rivers that sang in low, humming tones. The higher he went, the more the air seemed to thrum with invisible power. At night, when he rested, he could still feel her presence. The bond was weak but not gone, like a thread of light pulling him forward. On the third day, he found her. She stood at the edge of a great crystal canyon, her robe fluttering in the wind, glowing faintly against the pale light of dawn. The canyon below pulsed with rivers of blue energy, veins of living power. For a moment, Ryan couldn't speak. She looked different, stronger, distant, like something more than human or alien. "Lira," he whispered. She turned slowly. Her eyes glowed brighter than ever. "Why are you here, Ryan Carter?" He stepped forward, his voice shaking. "To see you. To make things right. There is no right left between us," she said quietly. "You broke the bond of truth." "I know," he said. "But I can't undo it by running away. I need to tell you what you deserve to hear. Everything." Lira said nothing, so he continued. His voice trembled as he spoke. "It started as a joke, a bet. I was proud, stupid, blind. I thought it was just a game. But when I met you, it stopped being one. You showed me something real. Something I didn't even know I needed." He took a step closer. "And when the bond spark appeared, I thought it was a trick. But it wasn't. It was the truth I was too afraid to admit." Lira's eyes softened slightly, but her face stayed calm. "Words are easy, Ryan Carter. But truth is not spoken. It is felt." She lifted her hands toward the canyon. The air began to hum. The ground trembled as crystals rose from the earth, floating in circles around her. Streams of light danced between them. The air glowed brighter, and Ryan felt his heartbeat quicken. "What is this?" he whispered. "This," she said, her voice echoing through the air, "is my truth." The light surged. The crystals rose higher, forming a crown above her. Her body began to glow with raw power. Gold, silver, blue, shifting like fire and water mixed. Ryan stepped back in awe. "You're controlling it?" She shook her head gently. "No, I am part of it." The canyon pulsed, responding to her. The rivers of energy below rose into the air like liquid lightning. The light wrapped around her, and for a moment she looked like a living star. Ryan could barely breathe. "You're the leader of your people, aren't you?" Lira nodded slowly. "I was chosen to guide Valora 9's energy, to keep balance between life and light. But after what you did, the balance broke. My people doubt me now. The bond was sacred, and you shattered it before the stars." Tears stung his eyes. "Then let me help fix it." She looked at him sadly. "You can't fix light with darkness." "Then I'll become light," he said softly. She looked at him for a long moment, and the glow around her began to fade. The crystals lowered. The air grew still again. "You speak with regret," she said, "and I can feel that it's real. The bond between us. It isn't gone." "Weak, yes, but not gone. Maybe the universe isn't finished with us yet." Ryan took another step forward. "Then tell me what I can do." Lira turned to the horizon where the suns were rising. "There is a storm coming, not of wind, but of energy. The balance of Valora is failing. If the bond was meant by fate, it can still heal the rift." He frowned. "You mean—" "Yes," she said quietly. "You must face the judgment of the light core, the heart of Valora 9. If your love is true, it will accept you. If not, it will destroy you." Ryan nodded, his voice steady. "Then I'll take that chance." Lira's expression softened. "You are braver now than when you came here for your foolish bet." He smiled weakly. "Maybe because I finally found something worth being brave for." As the suns rose fully, their light washed over the canyon. Lira looked at him one last time. "Come with me, then. The core waits beneath the mountains." And as they walked side by side toward the glowing path below, the air shimmered with power, the bond between them flickering to life once more, faint but real. The test of truth was coming, and this time Ryan wasn't playing for a bet. He was fighting for his soul. The journey to the light core was unlike anything Ryan Carter had ever imagined. He and Lira walked through caves made of living crystal that pulsed with light, as if the planet itself was breathing around them. The air shimmered with power. Every sound, every heartbeat unechoed softly, like the world was listening. Lira led the way, her robe glowing faintly blue. Ryan followed in silence. His heart was heavy, but not with fear and with hope. For the first time, he didn't want to run or hide. He wanted to face the truth. At the end of the tunnel, The cave opened into a massive chamber. The light core floated above a pool of silver energy, a huge sphere of shifting light, alive and infinite. It pulsed like a giant heart, and each pulse made the ground tremble softly. The walls around it shimmered with strange symbols that seemed to whisper in forgotten languages. "This is the heart of Valora 9, Lira said. Her voice was quiet but filled with power. "It knows truth. It knows fear. It knows love." Ryan stared at the glowing sphere. "And this will judge me?" She nodded. "It will see your soul. If it finds lies, it will destroy you. If it finds love, it will restore the bond." He looked at her, searching her eyes. "And if I fail?" Lyra's voice softened. "Then I will lose you forever. But if you lie again, I will lose myself too." Ryan took a deep breath. "Then it's time to stop lying." He stepped forward. The air around the core thickened, humming with energy. His heart pounded. The bond mark on his hand began to glow faintly again. Soft, uncertain. A voice echoed through the chamber, not male or female, but both. It spoke inside his mind, clear and endless. "Human, you seek redemption." Ryan nodded. "Yes. You broke the sacred bond for pride." "I did." "You used love as a game." "I did," he said again, his voice trembling. "But I changed. I swear I changed." The light around the core flared brighter. Ryan felt heat against his skin, but he didn't move. "Why should we believe you, human?" Ryan closed his eyes. "Because when I lost her, I lost myself. She showed me what truth is. What love is. It's not a game. It's not a win. It's the only thing that makes being alive mean something." The core's light flickered faster, as if it were thinking. Lira watched from the edge of the platform, her hands shaking. "Please," she whispered. "See his heart?" The energy around Ryan exploded upward, wrapping him in a storm of light. He screamed as pain surged through him, not just in his body but deep in his soul. Memories flashed before his eyes, his laughter at the bar, his first lie to Lira, her smile during the wedding, her tears during the betrayal. Then the light changed, it turned gold, warm, gentle. Lira gasped, the storm began to calm, and the voice of the core filled the chamber once more. "His soul is flawed, but true. His love is born from regret, yet it shines with courage. The bond may live again." A beam of light shot out from the core and struck Ryan's chest. The bond mark on his hand flared white-hot, then glowed brighter than ever before. He fell to his knees, gasping as the energy spread through him. Not pain this time, but peace. When he opened his eyes, Lira was kneeling beside him, tears glowing on her silver cheeks. "The core accepted you," she whispered. Ryan smiled weakly. "Guess even the universe forgives fools sometimes." Lira laughed softly through her tears. "No, it forgives those who learn." She touched his chest, and the bond mark on both their hands shone with the same light. A perfect match. The glow spread outward, filling the entire chamber, reaching into the ground, the sky, the rivers. Outside, the people of Valora 9 looked up as the mountains glowed with living light. The storm of energy that had been building for days vanished. The skies cleared and the planet's pulse returned to calm. In the temple, the elders bowed their heads. "The bond has healed," one whispered. "The planet is safe." When Ryan and Lira stepped out of the cave, the dawn was rising. The suns of Valora painted the sky in gold and pink. Ryan turned to her. "So, what happens now?" Lira smiled softly. "Now you live as what you have become. Not a man of pride, but a man of truth." He reached for her hand, and she didn't pull away this time. "And us?" he asked quietly. She smiled, her eyes glowing faintly. "We start again. No bets, no lies. Just the bond." As they walked back toward the village, hand in hand, the mark on their skin pulsed in rhythm. One heartbeat, shared between two souls from different worlds. Above them, the light of Valora 9 shimmered gently, like the planet itself was smiling. And for the first time in his life, Ryan Carter, the man who once married for a bet, had truly won. Not with credits, not with pride, but with love strong enough to change a world.